One of the sure signs that the holiday season is here is the sound of Christmas carols and the sounds of bells ringing. Put the two together and you have absolute magic for sure. Nothing puts the shimmer on a good Christmas melody like the sound of handbells. This Sunday, December 3rd at 2 p.m. at Chapel Lawn, the Ring Out Handbell Quartet will be performing a Christmas handbell ringing concert. This is sure to be a delightful concert that will bring Christmas cheer to all those who attend. All monies from the concert will be donated to the Christmas Cheer Board to help those in need. And joining me here in the Classic 107 studio, I am joined by Morna-June Morrow, one of the founding members of the Ring Out Handbell Quartet. Hey, Morna-June, it's nice to have you back here in studio.
Oh, I'd love to be here.
So, first of all, before we talk about the concert, I have to say you're one of those people, you're a little bit like an onion. There's lots of layers. Last year when we were talking, I learned that you were technically the first ever music student who graduated from the University of Manitoba School of Music. And this year, when I was prepping for the conversation, I discovered that there is a Morna-June Morrow Award for Excellence in Music Education in Manitoba. Can you talk about that award?
Yes, when I retired in 1998, the Manitoba Orff chapter, which I was the founding president, they decided to have this award in my name, and it is given to a very deserving teacher who uses the Orff Schulwerk in the school system.
Yeah, it sounds great. You taught for many, many years in the public school system, and you presumably taught Orff.
Yes.
Can you talk about why you're such a passionate believer in the Orff method, and can you talk a little bit about what the Orff method is in regards to teaching children?
Yes, well, the program, of course, came from Europe, from Salzburg. And Karl Orff, the composer, and his associate, Gunhild Kettmann, they started off a program to use with children in elementary schools. And in 1962, Doreen Hall, who was a violin professor at the University of Toronto, she invited them to come to Toronto, and that's where the Orff approach. People came from South Africa, from all over Canada and the United States, and that was the beginning of the Orff movement in all the school system. Believe it or not, Doreen Hall is still alive at 102.
And so when it comes to teaching students music, what are the benefits of it?
Well, the one thing about it is you can involve the children at the level that they are capable of doing. There is singing, there's speech, there's movement, there's instruments, playing the recorders, a lot of improvised movement. It's just a very holistic approach to teaching music in the elementary schools.
Mm-hmm. When you were here the last time, we talked about this, but for listeners who might not have heard, can you briefly talk about how you got into handbell ringing?
Yes, as a matter of fact, this past September, I flew to Edmonton to speak at the memorial service of Fred Merritt. Fred was teaching band and handbells at Techvolk High School back in 1968. And my principal at Oakenwald School in Fort Garry said, "Do you know anything about these handbells?" And I said, "Well, I heard them in the festival last year, and I was intrigued with the sound." She said, "Well, if Fort Garry School Division could buy you a set, would you be willing to do it?" And I said, "Of course, I'm game to try anything new." So the middle of March, 1969, I got 25 bells. They forgot to order the cases, so they came in 2 cardboard boxes. Each bell was in a plastic bag. The next year, then I phoned Fred Merritt at Techvolk, and I said, "Fred, I have 25 bells. What do I do with them?" Because there was literally no music written for handbells at that time. And so I went over there, and he gave me a 40-minute crash course in handbell ringing. And that's how I got involved with it 54 years ago.
Yeah, and since then, I'm just going to read some of your credits. You're an honorary life member of Area 7 of the Handbell Musicians of America. That was given to you in 2013. You're an honorary life member of the Manitoba Guild of English Handbell Ringers. That was given to you in 2016. And in the Canadian Music Educators Association, you were given the National Builders Award in 2018. So some pretty great accolades. When the Ring Out Quartet goes out to perform, how many octaves of bells does it generally bring with it?
Well, I do have 4 octaves of bells and 5 octaves of chimes, but with only 4 of us playing, obviously we can't use all of them. But we're actually using pretty well most of the 4 octaves of the handbells, but much fewer, only about 20 chimes.
Okay. Sunday's concert is going to feature Christmas carols. Can you talk about how the performers are going to play all this music with just the 4 players? Like, is each one of the players going to have 2 bells, or is it sort of one of these things where one player is given 1 octave that they've got to take care of? How's that going to work?
It varies. I mean, normally if you're doing a handbell choir, you usually have 2 of the white notes plus the sharps that go with it. But with a quartet, some of us may be playing 10, 12, 16 bells, and we are constantly moving. You've got to have, your feet have to be able to move because we go into each other's territory.
Right.
So you have to be very friendly.
You've brought some bells in. Can you demonstrate some of the different sounds that the bells can make? I'm thinking your martellato or hitting the bell with the mallet, vibrato,
Right.
etc. Can you demonstrate
Yes.
those?
Well, with the ringing bell, that's the largest bell we're using. This is the highest bell we're using. So you've got from there all the way up to there. And you can create a vibrato, very much like a string player.
Mm-hmm.
And all you do with a big bass bell is just wobble it. Now, we're also using chimes. And chimes, these were just developed actually just a couple of dozen years ago by Shalmeric. That's where our bells came from. I can create a vibrato effect on this as well. And I'm just wobbling my index finger along the tines.
Yeah.
You actually get, and the larger chimes, we have some that are 3 feet long, and they almost sound like an organ.
Mm-hmm.
Then we have 4-in-hand technique, where I'm holding 2 bells in each hand, and I can ring one forward. Or if I do them quickly, or backwards. And sometimes we have to play 2 of them at once to get an interval of a third. We can also use mallets on the bells. You use hard rubber on the smaller bells. Gives more of a staccato effect. We can use a thumb damp where we have the thumb on the actual casting. That gives a very light staccato effect.
Sound, yeah.
Then we can use larger mallets that have wool on them. I have fun when we play Jingle Bell Rock because we do not ring a single bell. We do the entire piece with mallets. And we literally dance our way through it.
There's a wonderful technique as well. I was reading that where you take, I think, a stick or something and rub it around the bell and it creates you get the sort of same effect as a wine glass when you
Yes.
rub your finger around it.
Yeah, it actually started in Thailand with singing, what they called singing bowls, and we call it a singing bell technique. And I have a dowel here, and I've got the largest bell. I'm just going to tap it slightly, and then I'm going to just scrape the dowel all the way around the rim of the bell, and it will gradually, sometimes you get a few wobbly notes, but it gives a rather eerie effect. And in fact, we're creating the fog that Rudolph has to go through to lighten up so Santa Claus can get through.
Wonderful. Creates a wonderful drone. Can you talk about what tunes the quartet is going to be playing on Sunday?
Well, we're starting off, of course, with sacred music, Away in a Manger, and followed by Silent Night. Silent Night, we use bells and chimes. And then we're doing the Huron Carol, which, of course, is the oldest Canadian Christmas carol by Father Jean Brébeuf. And then we move into The Holly and the Ivy. And then the next thing, well, I must say, Away in a Manger has a very special spot because 44 years ago I was in Israel, in Bethlehem on Christmas Eve. And when we were in the grotto where they believe the baby Jesus was born, we all started singing Away in a Manger, and the tears are just streaming down our faces. And then we go into the Holly and the Ivy, and then that leads us into more contemporary pieces, the secular, like Frosty the Snowman and Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. We encourage some people to sing along if they like. Jingle Bells, Jingle Bell Rock, and of course, we finish with a Christmas greeting.
It's going to be a great concert. The proceeds for Sunday's concert are going towards the Christmas Cheer Board. Has the quartet had a long affiliation with the Christmas Cheer Board? And if so, why did you decide to donate to the Christmas Cheer Board?
We decided this year, last year, as you know, we were donating all the proceeds to the International Peace Gardens Music Camp Scholarship. Mm-hmm. This year, we decided on the Christmas Cheer Board. A week ago, I was at the Christmas Cheer Board, and to see the boxes and boxes and boxes of food, and what was really wonderful to see, I saw a group of junior high kids with their teachers coming in, and they were going to start packing up some of the food hampers. Last year, they broke a record with over 18,000 food hampers prepared for Winnipeggers. This year, they're expecting it to be well over 19,000.
It's going to be fantastic. For you as a bell ringer, what do you look forward to most when you're performing with any handbell group?
That we get through a piece without making mistakes. And there's always some little glitch, because you can imagine when you're moving around and switching, and sometimes we have to play a bell and hand it over to our neighbor who has to play it on the next beat. So your coordination has to be very careful. But I think the main thing, particularly because most of our performances are in nursing homes and senior citizens, just to see the faces of these elderly people light up when they hear music that they're familiar with.
Yeah, absolutely. Morna-June, this has just been so great to have you back here in studio. I am sure the Christmas Handbell Ringing Concert on Sunday, December the 3rd at 2 p.m. at Chapel Lawn is going to be fantastic. Thanks so much for taking the time and stop by and chat with me today.
Thank you very much, Chris. I appreciate the opportunity.